the effects of captioning videos used for foreign language listening activities by Paulo Wink et al., Michigan State University. Is the study question relevant? As we all know, listening takes a big role in life, especially in communication, through which the message is clearly perceived, absorbed, and processed by the listener. This study is very pertinent to people, mentioning those who learn English as second language and those who have English as their mother tongue, because comprehension starts basically from listening when watching. Second is the visual part, and third, the captions. This study conducted the research to which the listening skills of listeners had been measured through the use of movies, captioned or non-captioned. Also, study questions are related to the research study because it measures the results of the conducted study. The questions are beneficial for second language learners because it gives them a new alternative for learning foreign language, and that captioning video increases their attention, improve processing, reinforce previous knowledge, and analyze language. Does the study add anything new? No. Although the research study conducted an investigation through video presentation, followed up by vocabulary test or comprehension test, written or oral, and interview test to find out if captioning videos result in better comprehension of the foreign language. The result is significantly similar to the review of related literature. The result is that second language learners benefit from captioning video. What type of research question is being asked? The types of research questions used are descriptive, relational, and causal. Descriptive because one question asks regarding the different benefits derived from captioning order depending on the target language. Relational because the first two research questions are asked to compare and associate two variables whether captioned videos result in better comprehension of video content and learning of vocabulary than non-captioned ones. Lastly, causal because the last question probed how do proficiency differences affect the benefits of captioning derived from captioning order. Was the study design appropriate for the research questions? Yes, the study design is appropriate because the procedures and materials answered the research questions. Did the study methods address the most important essential sources of bias? No. The methods used in the research study are comprehension tests, vocabulary tests, and interview, and the participants in the research study are different in the language they are targeting. Some participants are L2 in Spanish, Russian, Arabic, and Chinese. Also, the research study relied on volunteers, that's why there's no balance across the language. I think it can be assessed if there is a wide range of participants trying to learn diverse complex languages. Yet, learners who are not second language learners to the target language were not included.
Was the study performed according to the original protocol? Yes, because the researchers were able to use the materials and the procedure was properly performed according to how it should be done. Also, they were able to analyze the data gathered. Does the study test a stated hypothesis? We cannot hypothesize based on prior literature the ordering effects of captions, the differential benefits of captioning order depending on the target language, or whether proficiency differences affect any benefits derived from the ordering of captioning. Thus, in relation to the last research questions, we assume null hypothesis, that is, that there is no ordering effect of caption, no differential effects from captioning order in relation to the language being learned, and that proficiency will not affect the benefits of any ordering effects of caption. Were the statistical analysis performed correctly? Yes, because the researchers were able to examine and evaluate the findings of this study. Do the data justify the conclusions? Yes, the data justify the conclusions because the researchers were able to conclude that listening twice to a video, first with caption and then without, may reduce listener anxiety, activate selective and global listening strategies, and promote automatically in processing based on findings of this study. Are there any conflicts of interest? There are no conflicts of interest in the study.
University students with public speaking anxiety, educational accommodation, or therapeutic intervention, and changed by Phyllis Parr, University of Western Sydney. Is the study question relevant? Yes. The research question in this study is the applicability of providing therapeutic interventions for university students experiencing public speaking anxiety rather than providing educational accommodation under the auspices of the Disability Discrimination Act. It was surely been answered by the research study. In the findings, the therapeutic interventions such as cognitive behavioral treatment for a group of university students is effective. It reduces the rate of anxiety. Participants were also reported to have an improvement in public speaking. Does the study add anything new? Yes. It is mentioned in the research and related literature that universities attempt to consider the requirements of students with social anxiety disorder or social phobia by implementing educational accommodations, such as providing students with one-to-one with the lecturer rather than to an entire group. The research study opposes this attempt by giving an alternative to the students who have social anxiety disorder, rather than to have a personal tutor, which is similar to avoidance from the chance of public speaking, which will eventually worsen the disorder. So the research proposes to use the cognitive behavioral group therapy instead. The cognitive behavioral therapy will be benefited by the student with SAD. What type of research question is being asked? Comparative question. Because the research study aims to finding out which between educational accommodation and therapeutic intervention is helpful alleviating the public speaking anxieties of the students. Was this study design appropriate for the research question? Yes, because research study was designed to be both qualitative and quantitative in an attempt to provide an answer to the question whether the use of either education accommodation or the therapeutic intervention is useful in addressing public speaking anxiety. Did the study methods address the most important potential source of bias? No. The participants in the research study were very few, although more than 50 students registered to be part of the program. Only 6 arrived at the first session. And unfortunately, one withdrew at the second week of the program due to work commitments. So at the end of the cognitive behavioral treatment program, only 5 participants were able to be assessed. Officially, there were only 4 participants who were assessed after the CBT group treatment, because the other one was just having language difficulties because English was not his or her first language. Also, among the 5 participants, 4 of them were studying at undergraduate levels, was enrolled in the postgraduate diploma, had more experience, not to mention the confidence in public speaking compared to the other 4, so the level of her SAD must be lower, which made the method used in the research study biased or not balanced. Another thing was that the duration of the group program was very short. It only lasted for 6 weeks.
Was the study performed according to the original protocol? The study performed according to the original protocol. The instruments used in quantitative assessment are the Personal Report of Public Speaking Anxiety, or the PRPSA, and the Social Phobia and Anxiety Inventory, or the SPAI, were properly used in the study. The researcher also used qualitative assessment by interviewing the respondents. To examine the subjective views of participants, narrative interviews were conducted over the following 2-week period. Participants were first asked to sign a consent from agreeing to participate in the narrative interviews. The interviews were audio taped and then transcribed by the interviewees. At 6-week follow-up, participants were requested to complete the 2 quantitative measures the researchers stated. The society test I stated hypothesis. The findings indicate that the cognitive behavioral treatment group for public speaking anxiety was effective for a small group of university students, in which the first hypothesis scores on the qualitative measures will show reduced levels of anxiety at both post-test and at 6-week follow-up was tested. As well as the second hypothesis, participants will report a reduction in experienced anxiety levels and symptoms. It was tested and the researcher gathered that participants described feeling more assertive, hopeful, empowered, confident, stronger, and less self-critical. Again, the findings concerning the reported interpersonal and interpersonal changes support the third hypothesis that participants will report experiencing a range of positive changes, both of an interpersonal and intrapersonal nature. Finally, the narrative interviews clearly demonstrated a generalization of the skills learned within the CBT treatment program. All 5 participants described the skills learned in the program generalizing to other areas of their lives. Were the statistical analysis performed correctly? Yes, because the researcher was able to collect all data needed for the study and was able to scrutinize and evaluate the data gathered. Do the data justify the conclusion? The researcher concluded that it is reasonable to suggest a cognitive behavioral group treatment program is a viable and valuable alternative to the educational accommodation of public speaking anxiety, as well as being an effective tool to enhance the students' overall quality of life. The researcher came up with this conclusion because of the data gathered, which means the data justified the conclusion. Are there any conflicts of interest? There are no conflicts of interest in the study because some of the participants described the 6-week program as life-changing, resulting in a more empowered and attentive life experience.